To begin, please turn off your cameras and mute your microphones during the presentation. This presentation will be recorded. You're welcome to type your initial questions into the chat box. Later in the presentation, you'll be able to turn back on your cameras and unmute your microphones, and our speakers will then proceed to answer those questions. So I'll start off by introducing our first speaker for tonight, Dr. Robert McManus. He is Executive Director of Graduate Business and Applied Leadership, Professor of Leadership at Muskingum University. He's an active member of the International Leadership Association. He has a PhD in Communications and Master's in Business Administration. Our second speaker for tonight is Mary Kaufman. Mary is passionate about empowering individuals and teams to confidently navigate the future. As a consultant and speaker, she specializes in simplifying complexity, fostering powerful solutions, and cultivating adaptable behaviors for resilience. Currently, she serves as a business strategist at August 20 with a team of world-class software engineers and problem solvers who get to the heart of clients' needs with speed and precision. She also co-hosts a podcast called Business Technology Talk, exploring the exciting world of technology, coding, and innovative problem solving for businesses. So once again, I'd like to reintroduce Dr. McManus.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to see you out in our webinar tonight. I'm sure that there will be a few more people who will be joining us. And welcome to this chilly January evening. So we have Mary Kaufman with us tonight, and I'm so happy to have Mary here with us. Mary, you have picked a topic that I think is all on our minds at the beginning of January as we're thinking about our New Year's resolutions and what we might want to do. I guess my first question is, I guess it's a general question about why this topic, and I've got some ideas about that. I mean, I think that goal setting is just simply a part of the leadership process, right? It's why we come together. But I'm also interested in why you in particular are interested in this topic. So Mary, what do you have to say for us on that note?
Well, Robert and Henry, thank you both for welcoming me. It is absolutely a delight. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart for more reasons than I have time to share. So I will suffice it to say, at our core, we have opportunities as people to really fulfill our potential. And to do that, we need to get grounded in what matters to us and put that purpose into action. When you look around the world and you think about these last several years and the challenges that every one of us has faced, our families, businesses, communities, also at the same time, the opportunity. I read a book, so many years ago called The Seasons of Life. And in this book, Jim Rohn articulated a message that moved me. I'm going to say it was like 25 years ago. And this book spoke to me so profoundly. And the one line I took from it that just changed me is, every year, spring follows winter. Every year, in every place in our life, opportunity follows difficulty. And for us, every one of us, to fulfill our potential, we have a chance to get really clear about what our purpose is, what matters to us, and put that into action. This session is really designed for anyone at any level, not only for themselves, but also for you to take that torch and carry it back to everyone around you. So what a perfect time of year. People set goals and they often don't recognize the value of what those goals can mean. And another core message here is very simple. Psychologists have done countless research studies to show positive emotion is tied directly to humans setting and working to achieving goals. There's all kinds of scientific research that shows how goal setting ties to positivity, ties to creating a better life. And I love that we have an opportunity, fresh start in the year, for us to really get purposeful and get clear so that we can, by the end of the year, look back and say, I far exceeded my expectations. I had these dreams and I've now worked so much more closely to get there. So it's a great time of year. And you might be setting goals, small goals, large goals. Who knows? The sky is the limit.
Well, I like that idea. I mean, I think about everyday things like cleaning my basement and how good it feels when that's done. I know that sounds like the most mundane task, but when I look and I say I've accomplished that goal, I check it off my list. I really feel good about that. So just kind of hearing that research reinforces, I guess, just my own experience, as well as I would say bigger goals, right? That we have that would go beyond cleaning a basement.
Exactly.
So where do we start?
Well, at our core, when you think about our potential, which I mentioned earlier, igniting our potential, what is a clear, simple roadmap that can help you and anyone that you care about, people that you are working to take back? We're going to cover some really practical, powerful opportunities, ideas that you can begin applying immediately. Anyone who wants to really create change in their life. And just like what you said, these goals might be large goals or small goals. In fact, we want to make this practical. I know of dozens of people who are planning to watch the recording. They're all excited to see this. So I'm going to speak to everyone, whether you're live or if you are now watching the recording. Take a moment, and you showed up for this call for a reason. Maybe you just need some new energy, a new injection of thinking differently. You might have a goal that is to improve a relationship. You might want better life balance. Maybe you'd like to take a vacation. And so you want to be able to set aside those funds to really have that prepaid before you take that vacation. Maybe you know that there is something about you that you have wanted to change for a long time. You know, there's thoughts or ideas that you have that you know you'd have a better life. I have a friend who was always late for everything, and she was really passionate she recognized it. And I'm so proud to say she was able to really take positive steps toward applying many of these different ideas. And now she is always early. And just the peace that she has in her life from that, it's a beautiful thing. So your goal could be anything. I want you all to be thinking about something that is on your mind or heart right now that you would like to say in the next 3 months to 6 months, I'd like to accomplish this, whatever it might be. Have that thought as we move forward.
Okay, so I have written mine down as you're
Okay.
talking, and it's a big goal, right? So I'm going to keep that in mind. So tell me a little bit about now what's next, now that I've got my goal. And it's a goal that I've been thinking about for a long time. What's next?
Well, first, congratulations, Robert, for saying you know what your goal is, because you have it fixed in your mind. And that is something that will give you energy and clarity and help drive you. It's almost like, think of it this way. You need an energy source. All of us, when we set a goal, when you have something fixed in your mind, you know it's been within you, that you know its potential that you can achieve. How can you tap into the energy? Well, that's what we want to talk about next, is the power of goal setting. Why should we set goals? We've already covered several ideas about the power of it, but imagine you are currently sitting at a state in your life and you have a chance to create and change the trajectory of your future. And how do you do that? Why set a goal? Well, let me peel back the layers of the onion and give you some scientific example as to why and the power of what goal setting can do for you. For example, if any of you were thinking about maybe setting a goal to run a marathon, and by the way, many of our goals can sort of fit into the family of feeling like it's running a marathon. So I want to be really clear. Can be an analogy or it can be practically what you're thinking of doing. But if you're setting a goal to run a marathon, here is a tangible example of how setting that goal can help you optimize the outcome. Really rise up to do all the things that you need to do to get and exceed the outcome that you're looking for. In 2014, Eric Allen led a study of 9.5 million athletes over a 50-year period who ran marathons. He mapped the distribution of results, and he and his team found something very interesting. People optimized to round to the target number, to the targeted outcome, to a very clear, defined outcome. And let me explain. If you look at this chart, you will see the finish times of 9.5 million marathon runners. You can see the 3-minute mark, or the 3-hour mark, the 3.5-hour mark, and the 4. Check it out. When you look at these moments, millions of runners optimized for the 3-hour mark.
Mhm.
Then many people here, and then they optimized for the 3:30. Then there's a huge drop in finishers. Then
Oh,
people
wow.
optimized. Look at this huge result here at the 4-hour mark. Then this massive drop. What I'm fascinated by is the power of goal setting, is the number of people who rallied and optimized for a rounded number because they could see it fixed in their mind. You drive for it, you practice for it, you see it in your mind. It's this visualizing yourself succeeding. The power of this is significant because having your goal clearly fixed in your mind with what is the outcome and being able to recognize that you will optimize for that, it will change your energy level and help drive towards success.
So two things here. One, I've been thinking a lot about this as you and I have been preparing for this webinar and chatting about the idea of, and my goal is more, it's not to run a literal marathon, but it's a 2-year process, right? And now I've
Yes.
set my goal for 2 years. And what I'm also doing right now is kind of breaking down where I want to be on those 2 years, right? To see if I'm on track to make that point that I'm looking for. Now, two things. One, and I noticed your next slide, and I know that we had talked a little bit about this, and that's the importance of aligning your goal with your purpose.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because when our early discussions, you seemed to indicate that was very important to make sure that the goal and the purpose were aligned.
It's so significant. And if you think about it, if you look at this distribution, if you're setting your sights on a goal and you're going to optimize for an outcome, what if that outcome doesn't align with your purpose? I mean, it almost as if you are floating along in a raft and there's no sail and you're just floating nowhere. If you don't know where you're going and why you're going there. So you might achieve your goal, but then it wasn't the thing that you were purpose. And that line, I love this video. Shows that all of us, I have lots of ideas. I have, even in a given day, I'll read something and oh, that's intriguing. So kind of these scattered lines that people have. You know what your purpose, this arrow sort of, when you,
Mary,
yes,
just so you know, we're having a little bit of an internet connectivity problem. Would you just repeat the last sentence or two?
yes, I will. And I'm just going to make that no one else in the house is using their internet right now.
Well, this is
We
the time
planned,
that a lot of students download games
right,
and such. So
right.
it's not surprising to me that
It
we're
may
having.
not be my house, but it might be. So we'll see. Thank you for that. Yeah. What I was saying is when you have so many thoughts and ideas, I love this visual because what it does is this target basically says it's easy to say no to all the other things in life when there's a deeper burning yes inside. And the power of having your goal align with your purpose helps you find that yes and look at the trajectory of the arrows. You can have a much more straight approach and you can drive things forward when your goal is aligned with your purpose. It's powerful. And to do that, there are some things that will help you being very simple, very focused. This visual, if you take anything away from this call this evening and from anyone who's listening to the recording, if you write your goal, the thing that we talked about just moments ago, and you write it in a way that you say, I want to, and you write your goal, and you add one more phrase to it, so that blank. When you add the words so that, and you define clearly in your mind, and I'll give you an example. Several years ago, I found that I was more tired. I didn't have the energy I needed. I needed to find a way to get healthier. And I read a study that like 95% of Americans couldn't run a mile, period. Just couldn't run a mile. And then a large percentage of them couldn't run a mile in less than 10 minutes. So I set a goal. Okay, well, I want more energy. I want to set a goal that I will have more energy and become healthier, or I want to be able to run a mile in less than 10 minutes so that I'm healthier, I can be more responsive, I can have more energy. So it took the goal of running a mile, what's the purpose? So that it gave me a why. All right. So that's powerful. It helps you load your purpose. I love this visual as well. It's kind of this idea of your purpose loading, getting that clarity. And many people have asked me, well, how do you know? How do you actually figure out what your purpose is? Tonight, briefly, I'm going to bring 2 key steps that you can take that will swiftly help you figure it out. One of my very favorite books, it's called Finding Your Element by Ken Robinson. And you see it there on the screen. It's a wonderful read, and it's very well articulated, helping anyone discover a talent or passion that you have that can just transform your life. In short, anyone who comes to this experience, anyone who's engaging and thinking about their goals might be at a place that you see on the screen. You may be unsure that you don't know. You might be searching. Maybe you're afraid of AI and worried about what it means for your future. Some people might be unemployed and they're thinking, what am I going to do next? I need to figure this out. And if I can get something that I love, then it's purposeful. It's even better for me. Maybe you or the person that you're helping, maybe you're thriving and you just want to keep pushing yourself beyond the limits. I know a lot of people like that as well. There's something for everyone in this book. That's why I wanted to bring this opportunity to you, because it will systematically walk anyone through a very simple thought process to get more clear. Here's an example. You may know someone who is asking a whole variety of questions. And I love these what if questions. What if I don't have special talents? I coach and work with people often who just think, I don't really know what I'm good at. I have no real passion. Maybe I'm really good at something, but I don't love it. The list is long. People will tell me I'm too young or I'm too old. Look, the bottom line is you may fall into all of these what if categories. None of that matters. All that matters is that you have an opportunity and you have a chance to explore it, and it may change, and the adventure will continue throughout your lifetime. And the other element that you will learn as a part of this journey is reflecting on how do you know when you find it? What happens in your life when you know you found that thing? And really, for me, all of this packaged up with a bow is, what can we do to help other people find their element? So often, if you say, I really don't know what mine is, but I'm on a mission, I'm going to help 3 other people find theirs. And guess what? On the journey of helping a few other people, you're going to find your way as well. It's really powerful. And another journey I wanted to offer up to people, almost every one of us have heard or seen on the internet this concept of Ikigai. And I found it so intriguing that I wanted to kind of tell the Paul Harvey rest of the story. For those of you who have ever heard of Paul Harvey, he would do a wonderful job of storytelling, that he would always come back and say, now let me tell you the rest of the story. On this seminar tonight, I wanted to tell you a little bit more of the rest of the story of this really simple graphic that many of you have seen on LinkedIn or Instagram. And it's this. Ikigai is these 4 concentric circles, starting with identifying what we love, what we're good at, what the world needs, and what we can be paid for. And I like this idea for so many reasons. What I found intriguing is most people have seen it. Almost no one has actually taken the time to do it. And my call to action to all of you is to actually pause. It doesn't take that long, and walk through and start articulating these circles for you. I won't go into every nuance for how these intersect because we just don't have time this evening, but there is a wonderful webinar that I'm going to point you to in just a moment that any of you can go watch. It's a 9-minute TEDx talk that you're just going to love. That's going to help unpack this for you. But these circles, when you bring the 2 concentric groups together, you can find out your passions, your profession, your vocation, and your mission. And ultimately, this whole concept originated from Okinawa. It is the home to the world's highest percentages of centurions in the world. And if you think about it, why is that? Why are Okinawans living such long, healthy lives when many of them have been tied to this concept of Ikigai? The meaning of the word Iki plus Gai, Iki means life, Guy is worth. Obviously, the summation here is life's worth or the value of living. It's really your reason for being. The whole point of this is it's like a treasure map. It's not a destination. It is a navigational way for anyone to figure out and really think clearly about it. One of the key things I learned from Tim Tamashiro, which if take the 9 minutes and go watch his TED Talk, it is just riveting. He shares this idea that so many people think that they have to be paid for full time, their passion. That's not true. There is so much more to life than just getting paid for the thing that we love. Maybe we're really good at something and it's aligned with us and we're gifted in that area, but maybe it's our side hustle that we can really grow and do more. And we maybe can do some things on the side. According to Tim, 50% of kids that are coming out of college today, 50% of them are also working a plan B side hustle, doing the thing that they really love to do. And they're loving it. They're learning and they're just creative and they have a whole different view of vocation. And the other opportunity is this side helpful, this idea of really on volunteering your time and being able to follow your passion doing volunteering. I wanted to take a quick moment and show you, I took time and created my Ikigai. All right. And I want you to know how phenomenal and freeing of experience it was for me. And it's so simple. I took butcher paper. I took a bowl and wrote my circles. And I found 4 different colored Post-its and I cut them into smaller pieces so I could fit them on. And I have to tell you, I started in the 4 circles and I listed all the things I could think of, what I love, what I'm good at, what I can be paid for, and what the world needs, and started moving them all around. And I have to say, it unlocked a new sense of passion and clarity for me like none other. So you can do it too. It doesn't take long. In closing on this Ikigai thing, Ikigai is an action verb. There are many ways that you can reflect your purpose. You'll see if you watch Tim's story, his entire life's purpose is to delight. That's it. His life purpose is to delight. That's what he wants to do and create delight for others. I love this idea. Look, if you align your purpose and your goals, you'll be blown away at what can happen.
So, Mary, just a few things that I just have to point out. One, you amaze me. When I saw your butcher block with the little Post-its, I thought that is amazing. But I also think about some of the things that you said that I just really resonate with some of the undergrads that I teach or have taught, and even some of the students who are in the master's or doctoral program, is many times we don't take the time to really think about this, right? Or even think about our goals and why we're pursuing our goals. And just taking that time can be extremely valuable to decide, which of these lines you're going to pursue, what you're going to say yes to, and what you're going to say no to. So everything that you're saying is just kind of resonating with me here.
Great,
So
Robert.
my next question is, what do we do next as far as to achieve our goals? I've got my goal written down. I have my why, and I've given that some thought to why. What advice can you give us to help us stay focused?
I love that. And I'm going to start with a very short story. After I graduated from Muskingum, so many few years ago, I worked in a wonderful opportunity in telecommunications and had finished my master's degree and was really growing in my career. And I was at a place where I had achieved some level of worldly success, depending upon the world's eyes, how you might view it, but I was at a comfortable place. But I had this deep sense of emptiness. I just was not fulfilling my purpose. And I was fortunate that the company it was a very large company, and they had career counselors. And there was a woman who had her PhD in career counseling. And they allowed me to mentor and figure out. And I took these assessments, and it was a 6-week experience. The key thing I want to share with all of you is one of the things that I did on that journey transformed my life. She asked me to pause and to take time, quiet time, and pause, close my eyes, and visualize one full day in my life 10 years out. I won't tell you what year that was, but I did it. It was April of a year, oh, so many years ago. And I visualized my dream life and I articulated it in writing. It was very colorful. I very much just wrote it all out. I just basically, from the time I opened my eyes that morning until when I went to sleep, I described my day, what it was like, what my family was like, the whole thing. At the time, I had no children, this whole thing. And in my journey, I laid it out and said, you know, I see myself having one boy and one girl. I see this. I mean, you can't even imagine what I laid out in my life. Within 10 years, I still have the document. Within 10 years, I had achieved almost every single element of what my life dream was, except for one. And actually, it was even better than what I had laid out. My point in telling that story is you need inspiration. And that's where we're headed next. I urge you, if any of you are working and thinking about what is it that I want, you don't have to make it 10 years out. You could even write your diary page 5 years out. It could be a year out. Choose it for what you need to make it. But for me, it was quite profound at where I was in my life. And it absolutely changed the trajectory. I believe it turned on my reticular activating system. I believe it caused me to look for opportunities to make choices. And then a little bit of fate and serendipity and divine intervention, I think, along the way as well. So it's all about inspiration. And I love focusing on this idea of the butterfly effect, because in short, when we think about how we look at our future, we need to think and focus on the small, simple, little things in our life that create the great big outcomes. That is the essence of the butterfly effect. One of my favorite authors is Andy Andrews. Again, I've got his book. I know you see it on the screen.
And by the way, everyone, you're all going to receive these slides and these resources. So if you're frantically sketching something down, we've got you covered.
Got you covered. You're getting the link to the video and the slides and all of the deck, all of it. Thank you so much for reminding that, Robert. I appreciate it. Yeah. In 1963, a meteorologist and mathematician named Edward Lorenz presented a theory to the New York Academy of Science. And he presented this theory that a butterfly could flap its wings in one side of the world, and it would set molecules of air in motion that would in turn set other molecules of air in motion, that would in turn, those molecules of air would be able to have the force of starting a hurricane on the other side of the planet. Well, interestingly enough, here in 1963, he was laughed off the stage. He was made a laughingstock. They ridiculed him, and they basically said, you know, this is so unthinkable and laughable. It's not real. Well, fast forward 3 decades, and I'm so inspired to tell you that all the attitude toward it changed, because many scientists and researchers all throughout the world began working together to prove that not only in fact was it true, it's viable, it's real. It even earned the status of a law. This is one of my favorite laws to talk about, besides gravity, the law of sensitive dependence upon initial conditions. This law is mind-blowing. In simple English terms, think of it this way. There is a sensitive dependence upon the initial condition of where you are. So the initial condition, your current state, there is a very small sensitive dependence on that, because as you make changes to it, it can create a very large outcome. This translates into chaos theory, that a small change in one state can result in much larger differences in a later state. And what they found through their scientific research is that this doesn't only apply to air molecules, it also applies to human beings. And so that means we have a chance to make small, simple changes that can create profound, large results. I've loved the phrase my whole life, small things done with great love can change the world. I believe that and have lived that. And I just know in my heart that as we make small changes to benefit ourselves, our families, our communities, and others, very large results can come from that. And let me give you sort of a practical way to take a look at this that also is tied to science. There's this theory that is called the rule of 100, this idea. It's popularized as the 100-hour rule. The bottom line is it says, if you will invest 100 hours of focused practice into any skill or any goal or whatever it is that you're looking to achieve, which translates into over a year, 17 minutes a day, you can actually become 95% more proficient than anybody else in the world on that thing, whatever it is, whatever your goal is, just 17 minutes a day. The learnings from this is that small incremental gains over time will create significant improvements, just like what we talked about with the butterfly effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that these independent researchers and theorists and writers and ideas kind of all come back to this theory. And the way to do that is deliberate practice, consistency, being deliberate. And I want to bring to life to all of you an example for what I do in order to have small, simple, deliberate practice. I have a journal that I keep right on my desk that has my 5 categories. And every day I know and I assess, how am I doing in these categories? I take little notes. It keeps me focused and clear on the small little changes that I know I need to make. One example for this year for me is I need to drink more water. It's very important to me. In fact, I've got my butterfly mug that I'm drinking my water. Every morning I fill up all the water I need to drink in a day, and then I make sure I'm drinking out of it. If I'm traveling, I take that with me, and it keeps me going. I'm always carrying my butterflies around because it always reminds me that the small things create big outcomes. I took a little trip this year, went to Australia and New Zealand. It was a dream trip with my family. I picked this up at the largest butterfly reserve in all of the Southern Hemisphere. And fun little stories, but the power of this is significant.
Mm-hmm.
As we make small changes, whatever those little nudges that we need to enable the behaviors that we're looking for will create the big result. The whole point is to enjoy the process of learning and practicing. In short, successful people are willing to do what others are not do. Like the people who are willing to invest in discussions like this and to really pull back the layers of the onion and think about it in their life, you are the ones that get big results. And this other quote from Ron Reynolds that I just love: if you think the price of success is too high now, wait until you get the bill for not succeeding later. And I'm always a positive focus. I'm always looking at the optimistic side. However, reality says we have to invest in success. We have to think about the price and the value of it and invest in it. And that means making those small changes.
So I've been thinking about this as we've been preparing for this webinar, and, I've been thinking about my goal and why I'm doing my goal. And even since our last discussion a few days ago, said, well, I'm going to give this the test, right? And I have just set aside a few minutes at the end of the day to say, did I work on my goal? Right. So to say, I may have not had to, okay, so I'm going to be very forthcoming with you.
Wonderful.
So I've written a couple books, but it's exhausting. It is a marathon, right? And I'm working on a new book, and I know why I want to do this. I think that I have something to say in this book, but the thought of it with everything else in my life, I've been putting it off because I'm just thinking it seems too big to start this project again, right? At this point in my life. So I've tried the 17 minutes and just at the end of the day, just thinking, okay, did I make that progress? And even though it's not necessarily a journal, it's not a great deal of time, it has given me so much energy to continue moving on, right? And to continue to pursue the goal. So
Wonderful.
I just, yeah, from my personal experience, even in our short time together in my practicing this, I'm
Yes.
starting to see some of those potential results, right? In 2 years, I hope to be able to show you that damn book.
You know what, Robert? I'm applauding you and congratulations, because you are harnessing and connecting in to your potential. The world will be infinitely better off having your rich wisdom shared with it. And carving out a little bit of time every day will create a great big result. And your reticular activating system is going to go to work for you. You're going to get ideas. They're going to come to you. You can capture ways to get those ideas and jot those down and really formulate it. And you'll get more effective. You'll be more lean in your approach to it. You don't know. Maybe you can cut this this in half or, 2/3 from the time from the last one.
It's even gotten me thinking about how I can structure my writing differently and what I can do differently in order to do the things that I need to do and that I want to do, right? Now, doing this, and I know what was stopping me before this moment was I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling that, oh my gosh, this just isn't the right time, all of these other things. What are some things that you can recommend to now get people started, right?
Yeah.
And keep going?
Absolutely. Well, as you all have heard, that wisdom is calculating the future cost of your present choices. When you think about what you are doing, your future, it's really about what you do now that's going to be creating your future. It's choosing what you want most over what you want right now, right? You talked about that as well. So I want to suggest that all of you think about where you are in that. Think that you are a rocket ship and your goal is sitting on the launch pad. It hasn't gone anywhere yet. Okay. You've been maybe thinking about it. You've been like preparing it. And this rocket ship might be safe on the launching pad, but that's not what a rocket ship is for. Okay. A rocket ship is meant to take flight. What does that mean for all of you? Well, to launch a rocket ship requires two things. One, minimize friction. In order to get that rocket, your goal, your dream into the air, you need to minimize any friction that's in your way to do it. And I'll tell you my personal story around my goals and my way of life is a dear friend of mine was attended a conference many years ago and called me after the conference and shared a story with me and said she heard one of the speakers say she never says anything out loud that she does not want to be true. And she charged the audience to do the same. The reverse of that is, don't say anything out loud that you don't want to be true, right? You want to be very clear with your words. I could spend a long time giving you example after example of the studies that have been done that talk about the power of words. In my case, I'll give it to a practical example. I found myself saying things in the past like, oh, I'm so tired. Now, I don't let myself say that. I say, I have the potential to be more energized. It's still the truth. It's still exactly the same information. I've just stated it in a positive term. My penalty when I say something that I don't want to be true is I have to say it the right way out loud 3 times to stamp out the negative thing. I have personally been practicing this in my life for decades. I'm not kidding. And you can talk to a lot of people. They've heard me talk about it, speak about it, correct people in meetings, correct myself. I'm not perfect, but more often than not, I believe that words either give life or create death. I want to be the type of person that every moment of every day, I have a chance to breathe more life, more hope, more encouragement, more belief into the world. So my minimizing friction is I'm very careful about the words that I say. So friction. If there is too much friction in your goal, in your life, your rocket won't fly. You have to get really clear about something in your life that is your friction. And it sounds like, Robert, you've done a great job of identifying something and carving out a little time at the end of your day. You're removing some friction for you to achieve your goal. It's fantastic. And all of you, I want you to think right now, the goal that you wrote at the beginning of the call in your mind, I want to blank so that blank. Think about what is one area of friction that you need to remove in order for you to be able to let your rocket ship take flight. What is it? Think about that. Write that down. I shared an example for me of something that I know I needed. And a lot of times I am my own worst enemy. I let doubt kill my dream before the world has even a chance to, before anybody does. My own mind kills it. I know that. So I have to be very deliberate. The second thing a rocket ship needs is to maximize fuel. Because if you don't have enough fuel, your rocket won't fly. Here's my story on this one. I know that life is hard. We've all faced hardships. I have personally gone through many challenges in my life, in my career. I could write a book. In fact, I am writing a book about it, just so I'm clear. There are many, many things and challenges that I've had to overcome to be able to create any level of success in my life. And I'm always looking for ways to keep pressing forward. Several years ago, my son-in-law, he and my daughter got married, and he was home for the holidays. I'm not a football person, but he was watching Peyton's Places on like early morning television. Peyton Manning was interviewing a football player. Didn't even know the show existed, but it was on some ESPN or whatever. I happened to be in the kitchen cooking breakfast. I was walking through the living room, and I picked up Peyton asking this young man named Marshawn Lynch, that some of you may know. His nickname is Beast Mode. I didn't know him or know anything about him until that moment. I learned a great deal about him on this interview. And what I learned was Marshawn Lynch was known to have a record in when he would get hit by an opponent, he was able to travel over 3 yards farther, yards after contact, farther than any other player. Like at that time, he earned this record. You may think to yourself, 3 yards. In football, 3 yards is the difference between winning and losing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you in life are carrying your goal, like a player would carry a football, that's your mission. That is your goal. That is your purpose. You are on the field of life. There is something that is hitting you, an opponent, whatever that might be, your own mind, it might be the world, it might be culture, it might be whatever it might be, finances, anything that's going to hit you and try to take you down. Peyton Manning asked him, how do you do it? How have you set yourself apart above every other player and you have more yards after contact than anybody else? His answer blew my mind. He said, it was simple. He said, what do you mean it's simple? He said, it wasn't enough. Peyton Manning said, what do you mean it's not enough? He said, in my mind, Marshawn said, that hit I framed in my mind, no hit was going to be enough to take me down. That is my call to action to all of you. You have your goal and you're on the field of life and you're carrying that goal forward. Whatever that hit is, you need to fix it in your mind and say, it is not enough. This is not going to take me down. Now, in reality, Marshawn got taken down, right? He only went 3 more yards. However, he sustained and went farther every little bit, that small gain, that small win. And he got right back up and kept on going. So when we get down, we get back up. I needed this refreshed energy. And this story has stayed with me now for several years. And I tell it often, and I think about it often, and I see visuals of him, and I think about me and my goal and me getting hit by life. And it is not enough. I'm going to keep going. So now all of you think about, what is it that is your goal? What is the thing that needs to be your fuel? Minimizing friction and maximizing fuel.
Okay, so I've been thinking about what is my friction, right? And it may be, it may not be the words that I'm telling myself, or it may, right? That could be certainly part of it. Language creates our reality. It certainly does. But I've been thinking about, okay, so what's specific that I'm finding is holding me back? And I'm also thinking about, what do I need for my fuel to keep me going, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like these things are going to be very individual as far as, what's in our lives that's holding our back, what can we say no to so we can say yes to something else, and what is the type of fuel that's going to keep us going.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about that. I think that everyone has to consider that, right? And that's going to take a little bit of time. But what are the next steps, things that we can
Yes.
do to stop, to minimize that friction and maximize the fuel?
Exactly. And really what we're talking about is taking flight. And I felt it would be very appropriate for us to identify what are the most significant things that holds people back from achieving their goals,
Mm-hmm.
and what can you do instead? And they're really quite simple. The number one thing in the whole world that keeps people from achieving their goal is this: not getting started. They just don't start. So what can you do instead? Start today. or schedule it. Get it on your schedule and take 5 minutes to start working toward your goal. It might just be articulating it in a paragraph. It might be calling someone and saying, here's what I want to do. Whatever that is, don't delay. Get started, because the biggest risk that you have is not getting started. Second, expecting overnight success. It isn't going to happen overnight. You're going to have failures. People might say, yeah, but what if I fail? Oh, let me guarantee you, you will fail. You will just get right back up and you'll keep going. You're going to learn. Small wins, be patient, stick with it. Third, going solo. People who try to do it alone, just even you, Robert, talking about your goal, putting it out there, having collaboration, seeking guidance, thinking of ways and ideas for you to lean down the experience and become really efficient and lean. I shared a story in the previous call that, when I was working toward figuring some things out, and obviously even managing my list of things here, I actually did a time study and I figured out how much time are certain aspects of my daily routine taking me. I actually timed it and averaged it out so that I had a sense of saying, okay, maybe I can overlap some or stop doing some or farm out some, maybe I can find ways to be more efficient, kind of like cheaper by the dozen. And I can find 17 minutes back in a day by being lean and efficient. So seeking that guidance and that help by being creative is helpful. Doubt. I already talked about this one. Doubt is one of the biggest killers. We stop our dreams in our own minds before we even do them. We all need to visualize ourselves succeeding. I have story after story of people I've either coached or seen or witnessed, even in my own family, that I have worked with using mental visualization, guiding people to think differently about the outcome, where they can truly see that goal, see themselves. And it's amazing the energy that it will give you. Lacking accountability. Without accountability, who are you accountable to? Creating deliberate accountability in any way that makes sense for you. Why do you think Tony Robbins and so many of these coaches out there make so much money? Basically, they are the accountability partner to people. And because they feel like they're paying money to them, they're like, well, I'm paying all this money. I better listen to what they're telling me so that I can go do that. And hey, if that works for you, go for it. But, a lot of people aren't even willing to do that. People are willing to help. Armies of people want to help and create accountability. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And last is lack of focus. So many ideas, so many things. Just pick one. Maybe all of you and those that you're going to help, maybe a goal is, I want to get more sleep. I need to be better rested and get more sleep. I'm going to do whatever I can to learn how to get more sleep. Another, I need to drink more water. Whatever the goal is, pick something that is going to help you build up to. Maybe you have a big goal, but you've got to solve 3 other things before you can get to that goal. Start with those 3 things. Work your way up to the bigger goal. That's the power of this, is getting really clear. In summary, the power of goal setting. It is clear that the power of psychology is strongly linked to positive emotion and results. It gives you a sense of purpose, achievement and satisfaction. It gives you motivation, resilience, and optimism. It helps you, bottom line, self-regulation and control. It's really one of the honorably and most positive things that you can do to have that sense, because you have autonomy and mastery over your own life. You can write the chapter of your book yourself. Each chapter is written by you, not the world, not circumstances, not someone else. So that's the power of this. It's not about time, really, at all. It's about the energy that each of us bring to the time that we have. Maybe it's that 17 minutes a day. If you rally that energy toward what you want most, you will make it happen. It's inevitable.
So, Mary, when I get done talking to you, I'm ready to take on the world. I am. And I really appreciate this. For our folks, I was just checking our time. For our folks on the webinar, if you would just summarize, and then we'll go to answering some questions.
Yes, I would love that. The summary is this. When you are framing your goal, we've already talked about the goal. At the very opening, we said, what's an idea, something that you have had that you want to focus on in your life? Or maybe you're coaching an army of other people, and that's fine too. I want to blank, so that blank. Here's the kicker. By when? When you think about those marathon runners at the beginning of our call, They had fixed in their mind a round number, 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. It was that round number. I want to train so that I can run a marathon by 4 hours, within 4 hours,
Right.
whatever it is. Being specific. Many of us have all heard about SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. That's all good. I wanted to bring a fresh look to this and something super clean and simple. And I've used this in business with many teams and organizations for them to help drive value in their business. Why not have it drive value in our life? So that's the summary. Here is the list of the 5 things that we have covered, and all of you are going to get the slides and all of that overview. The wonderful extra little bonus gift, rest of the story that all of you get, Paul Harvey, this is the beautiful auxiliary additional resources. I love every one of these books. I highly recommend all of them. They all have different insights and nuances. A couple of them are articles, the rest are books. Wanted to leave these with you because one of them might pique your interest, and all of them are worth it. They will all motivate and inspire you at some level. I love every one of these authors and books. It's just magical. And so that's the high level summary as we go to questions. And I just wanted to have Henry or Robert, would you like to cover kind of this slide before we go to questions?
Yes, Henry, would you like to talk a little bit about our programs and then we'll go to questions?
Yeah, the great thing about our program here at Muskingum University is that a lot of our webinars that you're going to experience in the past, today with Mary, and in the future have a topic that's related to a lot of the curriculum that we teach within our Master's and Doctor of Applied Leadership. So for those that are interested, our Master of Applied Leadership is a program that once you fulfilled your 4-year degree, you can come into the program, and within 1 year at the minimum, you can obtain your master's in applied leadership. So for us here at Muskingum University, the number one thing that we do that's unique to us is that in the master's program, it's all asynchronous education. So it's basically on your time. You're able to do the program, be able to still pursue your goals, as Mary and Robert had talked about, but also pursue this degree. Second thing about the program is the mentorship program we provide as well. With our doctorate program, we're able to take that energy that you have within your profession and now apply it to obtain your doctorate. Being able to obtain that opportunity within a 3 to 5 year span, the same principles of our applied leadership curriculum, along with mentorship programs and the ability to correspond with myself and Dr. McManus, which is an awesome opportunity for you if you're interested.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And a lot of people, that is their goal, to complete their master's or to move on and complete their doctorate. So I think it's a nice wrap up of our conversation too, and thinking, okay, what's next for me in my education? But let's go to the folks that we have on our webinar. Please feel free to turn on your cameras, go ahead and turn on your mic. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can certainly leave those off and put a question in our chat. So what questions might you have for Mary this evening? Anyone who is on our call with us? Everyone gets very shy when I say, turn on your cameras.
So Mary, can I just ask the first question of a lot of your conversation was talking about the ability to write down your goals, see your goals, visualize your goals, and self-talk through it. So can you talk more about that aspect of staying that positive mindset of being able to see it, write it, and visualize it for a future goal?
Yeah, it's so powerful. Look, words bring life or death. And when you have clarity and you are absolutely tied and you can see in your mind, it actually has like a chemical change in the way your body responds to the demands around you. So you have a real opportunity to get very clear. I know I've already shared once on the call, but like my little tracking that I do, it takes maybe 5 minutes a day for me to do. And once a week, I rewrite my goals in the 5 categories, and every week I can refresh them or change them. And what this does for me is it keeps me on track and makes me reflect, makes me stay honest and true. It causes me to say, really, I reflect and I actually say, I had this goal, I didn't do it. All week last week, I had a goal of drinking my water consumption because I'm trying to stay more hydrated. And I failed 6 days. Guess what? Day 7, I did it. So, but I kept at it. And it is an opportunity for all of us to think about what are the things that we need to do differently in order for us to live our life. Look, if you have a conversation, imagine that you're having a conversation with you 5 years from now. What would that conversation consist of if you don't invest and don't take the time to do what you know you can do to invest in your future self? Can you imagine? Visualize yourself writing a letter if you don't do it. And what would that letter say? Visualize yourself writing a letter. If you did do it, what would you say? That will motivate you because you are investing in you, the future you. So it's really important and key that you manage the words and the visions and the actions.
Mary, thank you also for just being as vulnerable to say, yeah, I didn't do that some of those days, but I did it on one of those days, and I'm continuing to work towards my goal, right? I think that that's another fear that we have is it feels so overwhelming in this fear of failure. And I really appreciate you saying, yeah, there are some days when you might not make your goal, but you're continuing to reflect, you're continuing to put that goal before yourself, and to continue to make even a little progress towards that goal. I think that's so important. Thank you for that. Other questions from folks in our webinar that might want to feel comfortable speaking up?
Hi, I'm Jamie. I know Mary.
Hi, Sandra. Hi,
Sandra.
Jamie. I'm seeing
Thank
lots
you
of familiar
so
faces
much.
out there. Hi, Katie.
Welcome.
Hello. So
Yeah.
I have a question. So I am a multi-passionate overanalyzer. How can I kind of narrow down? Because I tend to be really passionate about something and I'll dig in and I'll spend a lot of time and then something else distracts me. And I'm like, oh, that's a new shiny thing. And then I'm back to, just kind of going on this circle of passions and never really reach goals.
Yeah.
Yes, I resonate
Robert,
with that too. Well, Jamie, I remember my dissertation advisor telling me I had a magpie mind. I like to collect a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he told me that's great. It's a wonderful part about you, but there are 2 kinds of dissertations: great ones and completed ones. And you want a completed one.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So I resonate with that. Mary, I guess it's really, how do you concentrate and how do you focus on that goal when you do have so many interests? I resonate with what Jamie is saying here.
Yeah, and I resonate too. And I'm going to be blunt. It is not easy. But the quote that I was sharing with you that was by Stephen Covey is, it's easy to say no when there's a deeper burning yes inside. I think it ties back to this ikigai. And I'm not going to make you look at my eye chart, but I'm just going to give you this visual. This only took me maybe 2 hours. I took this past weekend, I had tried different versions of this and I thought, what, I'm just going to play with this and kind of get clarity. I was able to narrow down all of these things of all of them tied down to really 2 things. And I kept moving them around. So Jamie, I would encourage you to try this exercise because this really motivated and moved me and helped me get really clear. And another one is honestly, this book. It's a super easy read. So many great questions. It really will help you think. And it isn't many elements. It's finding your element. It's getting to that core step, that core thing, and testing your ideas. Instead of saying, okay, I want to go do this, maybe interview someone who is doing that and learn in an hour versus you spending weeks doing something, and learn by doing. And like, I know you and I are going to be chatting real soon, Jamie, we can talk about it then as well. This is not an easy thing. There is no overnight success figuring it out, but I think over time, you really kind of get into your zone and start really finding the ways of life. People always ask me, well, how do I know what job I'm going to like? I always tell people, to me, it isn't even the work that I'm doing. It's the people that I'm doing it with that matter.
I love that. Thank you so much.
I want to
Yes.
be thoughtful of everyone's time. We have got about a minute left. Sandra, I know that you had popped on. Did you have a question?
Yeah, just real quick. Hi, Miss Mary.
Hi,
Um,
Sandra. Good to see you.
See you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. These have been really great tips. Can you mention the TED Talk title again?
Yes. So the TED Talk, it's actually in the handouts, and there's a link to it in the handouts as well. And it is Tim Tamashiro, and it is basically how to Ikigai.
Okay.
And you're going to love it. If all of you have 9 minutes, you've got to watch it. He's splendid. He's just absolutely splendid.
And
And it's
Sandra,
in the
I have-
handouts, and you'll be getting those handouts, Sandra.
right after the webinar, probably tomorrow morning, those will all, the webinar slides will all come to your inbox. And it should be on there too. So that should be helpful. And I know that Fred popped on. Fred, did you have a quick question to wrap up our meeting here?
I didn't actually have a question. I was hoping to get on earlier and listen to more of it, but it's just the very tail end of it. So my day got away from me, but it's great to see some.
No worries at all. Well, I do want to say thank you so much to Mary and also to the people who attended the webinar tonight. It was really, again, Mary, I'm ready to take on the world, or at least work on my book.
Exactly.
But thank you, and thank you to everyone who was a part of tonight. Henry, do we have any final words for folks as we wrap up?
Just the final words would be our next presentation will focus on supporting diverse populations on February 15th and 21st. So if you're interested in those topics, just go to our website to register for the event like you did tonight. And if you are interested in our master and doctorate programs, do the same. And we're always here to help you in this process, to help you grow toward the goal of receiving your master or doctorate. So thank you to Mary and thank you to Robert again. And I wish all of you a great evening.
Thank you all for
you.
coming. So wonderful to have all of my many of my old friends and new friends and everyone to be here. Robert, Henry, truly a pleasure.
Likewise. Good night, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.